inductions, so usually you get an invitation to attend those inductions. And we try to go. If we cannot go 100%, we are not 100% attendant, at least some of us try to go and represent the board. So we just thank those on the board that was able to attend the induction at the high school last night. We're so proud of all our students, whatever accomplishment that they have, and we're also proud of our administrators as well.
Oh, yeah.
We have high expectations, and we encourage continuous growth from all the members in our Polk County Schools organization. And with that being said, we try to lead by examples and try to model the way, and we expect our students to be successful and continue, their education achievement. We expect same thing from our administrators. So this week two of our administrators defended their dissertation from Fayetteville State University. And now they are no longer Mrs. or Miss. They are doctors. So we have Mary McLeod, the principal from West Hope Middle School, received her doctorate degree, and Erica Fonberry from the Director of Federal Programs received hers. So we just say, welcome to this particular family of doctors. We are so proud to have the doctors here in Hope County. And these are people that have gone back in the last 6 years, maybe 6 or 7 years, and have gotten their degrees.
Yeah.
And we are so thankful. And I did a little research on that this afternoon, y'all. And guess what? I was looking at the central office, I said, well, Dr. Dallas and all her team, her team there. Dr. And I'm gonna read them out too, because I did my research on this. Dr. Dallas is superintendent, and Dr. Chad Hunt, associate superintendent. Dr. Don Ramshaw, associate superintendent for elementary curriculum. Dr. Shannon Register, associate superintendent for middle and high school curriculum, and Dr. Donna Thomas, superintendent for human resource. Dr. Dallas, we thank you for that team there that you have surrounded you and really got support. And I went out to the directors and I say, Dr. Donald Chavis, the director of CTE, Polk County High School. Dr. Peggy Owens, the Student Support Service. Dr. Lynn Blackshear Ray, the Doctor for Exceptional Children Program. Those are some of the directors that we have here on staff. And then the principals, Dr. Benson already had his degree, then now Dr. McLeod, Mary McLeod, came aboard this week, and along with Dr. Biden from the principals. And that's not end of everything yet, because we have staffs also.
Yeah.
We have Dr. Frederick from the HR support staff. Dr. Sharika Joner, some HR support staff. Dr. Annette Jones, Polk County High School counselor. Dr. Woman, South Polk Early College High School counselor. Dr. Stacy Dunn, our testing coordinator, and Dr. Anita Gray, our CTE staff. So that's the total of 18 doctors that we have in the county. And you know what? I don't think any other county in North Carolina can say that, especially the size of what we have here. So when we say that we have high expectation and we encourage continued growth, we do. And we appreciate the effort that you all have made in leading the way for our students to see this. So I just had to bring that out, because so often, people think that once you become a teacher, this is all you do. But we do continue to grow. And we need that. We need change like that to keep us abreast of what's going on. Also, I hope that you had a choice, to see Dr. Chavis' video that she put out this week for Hope County Middle School CTA premiere. So if you did not get a chance to see that, that's online. The students at the middle school now have an opportunity to look at exploratory courses there. And also looking at CTE pathways and credentials that they will receive going forward when they get to the high school. So it's a lot going on, and we're doing what we can to keep you abreast of what is going on in the county. So we just cannot say enough of our students and for the support also that we're getting from our parents and community. We are definitely getting a lot of support from them. They're supporting our students, and they're also supporting the schools in their endeavors with what they're doing. So I think that is all that I have. And as they said, we continue to support the community in their endeavors. And also, I have to say, and I know I'm saying this every time, continue to pray for our students. We have another student that was wounded with a shotgun, last night. And this is so sad, y'all. It is really sad. And we care about our students. And we pray, for families that are losing these students. So we just say thank you. And at this time, I will continue. I think I've talked a little about that, but I just thank God and just ask you for your support. At this time, let us maybe get approval of the agenda that we have before us.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the agenda for March 8th, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved to second that we approve the agenda that we have before for March the 8th, 2022. And are there any questions? If none, all in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, the agenda before has been approved. At this time, we have the spotlight on success, and I will turn it over now to our superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This evening, we do have 3 items for Spotlight on Success. Our first item this evening is the recognition of our Blue Ribbon Award winners. Blue Ribbon Award winners indicate statewide recognition for outstanding and effective communication by the North Carolina School Public Relations Association. Award winners exemplify the high standards and qualities members demonstrate in their daily school communications programs. So at this time, I will turn it over to Meredith Bounds, our Director of Public Relations, to share these honors.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and members of the administration. As Dr. Dallas shared, the NC's for Blue Ribbon Awards recognizes and honors effective school communication and public relations. All Blue Ribbon Award entries were judged by members of the Georgia School Public Relations Association. Each entry was judged on content, quality, effectiveness, and overall impression. There are multiple categories for which districts can submit items, but for the first time this year, not all entries receive an award. You really had to be on top of your game to win a gold, silver, or bronze award. We are so proud to share that all 3 of our entries out of the 288 winning entries statewide were selected for an NC Sprint Blue Ribbon Award. We'd first like to ask if Dr. Erica Fortenberry and Mr. Jacob French could join me at the podium. As they're coming up, I'll share. This year, we submitted our 2021-26 strategic plan to be judged, and the publication was deemed a gold Blue Ribbon Award winner in the publications category. Although the strategic plan is the culmination of the work done by many, Dr. Fortenberry was at the lead in the effort to ensure that our strategic plan was representative of who we are and where we want to go as a district. Once all of the data and information was collected, it needed to be in a format that was engaging and understandable, and frankly, one that looked nice. That's where Mr. French's eye for design and graphics came into play. We thank them both for their hard work on the strategic plan and celebrate with them as the 2021 NC Spur Blue Ribbon Award Gold winners. Congratulations.
School. It says
2021 Blue Ribbon Award for Effective School Communication and Public Relations. Polk County Schools Publication, Polk County Schools 21-22, 21 through 26 Strategic Plan.
Yeah.
Gold Award. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
One, two, three.
Let me get my mask off. Wait.
1, 2, 3, cheese. There we go. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Good job, y'all. Good job.
Goodness. It's a little warm in here. All right, next we'd like to have Rebecca Sasala, Hook High English journalism teacher and Buck Fever newspaper advisor, Zaire McAllister, news board leader, Justice Brewington, student editor, and Angelina Koskowski, editorial assistant, join me at the podium. And Angelina, did I just murder your name? Okay, I'm so sorry. All right. And we also submitted Hook High's digital newsletter, Buck Fever, to be judged. This weekly publication is largely a student-driven effort. Not only is the newsletter very informative, but is well put together with eye-catching graphics and pictures. We are proud to announce that the Buck Fever newsletter earned a Silver Blue Ribbon Award. So congratulations, ladies.
The plaque says 2021 Blue Ribbon Award for Effective School Communications and Public Relations. Polk County Schools Public Relations. Buck Fever! Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Push together. Can you slide a little bit of this over out behind the podium? Slide to the left. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. And hold on, I think I see Dr. Benson back there as through my camera lens. Let the principal come and join us. All right, ready? One more time. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Congratulations. You get it. Awesome.
All right, and finally, our district was awarded a Silver Blue Ribbon Award in the digital engagement category, specifically for our district's Facebook page. With over 70% of the world getting their news and information from social media, it's no longer if we use social media as a communication and marketing tool, but rather how well we do it. We have over 9,800 people following the page and with an average of 28,000 views per week. The awards committee recognized that our primary social media outlet is an effective and engaging communication tool for our parents, students, and community, and has come to be a major source of news and information about our schools and district. So a silver award for our social media.
Yes, Ms. Bowles. We do want to present this to you, Blue Ribbon Award with high school. The Digital Media Engagement, Hope County Schools Facebook page, Silver Award.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm gonna take a picture of you. Ready? Right here.
I got it.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
All right. Awesomeness.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our second item this evening is the recognition of the Outstanding Gifted Administrator of the Year for the North Carolina Association for the Gifted and Talented, our very own Mr. Lyndon Cummings. So at this time, let me ask Dr. Donna Thomas to please share this special recognition. Mr. Cummings. There we go.
The North Carolina Academic Gifted and Talented Outstanding Administrator of the Year Award is presented annually to a North Carolina administrator who has been an advocate and leader in support of gifted children and youth. The nominee must exhibit outstanding qualities related to gifted education in the areas of teaching, curriculum development and adaptation, working with gifted students, working with parents, and the hard job working with the rest of us. As Dr. Dallas said, this year's North Carolina AGT Outstanding Administrator of the Year is none other than our very own Mr. Lyndon Cummings. Since taking on his role of Director of AIG in 2008, Mr. Cummings has dedicated himself to ensuring that all students have access to high-quality, rigorous instruction, and that all students are afforded opportunities which allow them to grow not only academically but socially as well. Mr. Cummings' keen insight for teaching and learning has made a positive impact on both the students and staff of Hope County Schools. So you're probably asking, who is Mr. Lyndon Cummings? And I am so honored to be able to tell you. Mr. Cummings and I started our journey in Hope County Schools together. So let me tell you. Mr. Cummings is a quiet leader whose humble demeanor, willingness to go above and beyond, and do anything that's expected. Mr. Cummings exemplifies the qualities of a true servant leader. He values people for who they are. He is someone people trust and rely on. He has a commitment to serving the needs and growth of others. He puts the needs of others first, coaches students and staff to be the best they can be, and is the first one to offer a helping hand. Mr. Cummings is a caring, open-minded, and passionate educator who cares about the work that we all do. Mr. Cummings, you are someone that we are all proud to serve with, to learn with, and to stand beside. And I am so honored to be able to congratulate you tonight.
As the flag waves, taking the grade, Polk County Schools, Lyndon Cummings, Outstanding Gifted Administrator of the Year, 2022, presented by the Polk County Board of Education, March 8, 2022.
Would you like to drop your mask for just a second? Just a couple of minutes? Just a little bit. Yeah, we're ready. 1, 2, 3.
Madam Chairwoman, could I say a few words?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Attorney, Madam Superintendent, colleagues, members of the public. This award is not about me, but about the amazing work we do here in Polk County Schools. For the students of this great county, thanks for your consistent support as I advocate for the students of this great county. Thanks for your support of my dear family. I will forever be indebted to the people of Polk County who have given so much to me and my family here in the US, and you may not know, but in Guyana also. I have had 14 wonderful years working with my colleagues and dear friends, and I hope to work a few more years for Polk County Schools. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you.
And our third item for Spotlight on Success is the artwork that is displayed at the Board of Education. This month's display is provided by Upchurch Elementary. So Madam Chair and members, that does conclude our Spotlight on Success for this evening.
Okay, we will continue, then move forward with our next item on our agenda, which is the public comments. We'll turn it over to Superintendent.
Okay, so this will turn over to our board attorney.
We have 2 members of the public signed up to speak. First up is Mr. Raymond Castellano.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before I start my time, I'd just like to recommend something because we can't hear. I would recommend that you all put like maybe a Bluetooth microphone in front, because we can't hear.
You can't hear?
We cannot hear, you know, it's just a recommendation. It's, I mean, we come here to know what you're saying,
Okay.
just a recommendation.
Oh, yeah, okay, we can talk loud, we can get a louder for you so you'll be able to
Thank
hear.
you.
Okay,
Thank you. I mean, in today's technology, we can do anything.
that's for sure, that's for sure.
So I'm Ruben Castellone. I think y'all seen me before, and some of you know me, and I know all of you. And I really miss your beautiful faces, to be honest with you. So smile. I'm here just to give you many things for the decision that is on the 24th of February to go mass optional. I don't think that we're done yet. I think I just read this thing on the CDC that CDC no longer requires masks on the public school system on the buses. So it just makes me wonder, why are we so behind? Moore County, Cumberland County, they're already doing that. And so we just ask that you consider that, and let's move forward. It's time to move on. Also, I just want to let you know that I just see a trend here. I've been since I'm in office since 1996, and I see that things have just keep being brought just to get us excited. And as an example, 2015 and 2020 and 2021, and as of this month, millions of dollars are always brought up. That we're going to get a new facility, but then when the election is over, it just dies out. Something happens. I would recommend that we need to fix this. I mean, we really need to fix this. We're growing exponentially. So I would recommend that we look into that, and so we can move forward. I know that three of you, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I know that three of you are up for re-election, okay? And I'm representing a lot of people, and I'm just telling you that we need to look at this, okay? Also, according to the NCDPI accountability, 84% of high school students are not math proficient. 55% of them are English not proficient. And that tells me that in June, when high school kids graduate, they're just not going to be college ready. And in closing, I just have one question, okay? How many national anthems are we exposing our children to in our public school system? Just food for thought. Again, I'm Ruben Castellone, and I truly care for this country. I'm an American, and I love my country. Thank you for your time.
Mr. John Clark.
Good evening. I'm going to be short. I just got a few questions. I give honor to everyone in their respective places. One question. Decision being made about masks on the bus, how many bus drivers were contacted? Second question. How many of the decision makers actually drive a bus? Third, did anyone consider the drivers may be uncomfortable making several trips with unmasked drivers? Another question, are drivers just pawns? How many do we have to sacrifice? Yes, we've lost some. Has it been considered that the drivers are underpaid, overworked, and now being asked to transport unmasked drivers? Sixth and last, even with the shortage of drivers, was it considered that there is a chance that more drivers may actually quit? Consider these questions, and thank you.
Okay. against the public comment that we have had from the public, so we will continue with our agenda and we'll the consent agenda. Here now, turn it over to superintendent.
So at this time, if you want to make a motion, one of the board members wants to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, that motion has been carried. The consent agenda has been approved.
No, gotta vote.
Vote, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So you don't usually do that.
I can take it from here. Okay, so we've heard the recommendation from the superintendent to vote on the consent agenda. May I get a motion, please?
There's been a motion and a second.
It's a motion on the floor.
So they just need to do a vote
So you
now.
have you seconded the motion yet?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Are there any questions? If none, all in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the consent agenda has been approved. Move now to the next, section on the agenda, which is action items, so we turn it over to the superintendent.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair and members. This evening, we do have 3 action items. Action item number 1 is our 2021-2022 audit contract. I'm gonna ask Ms. Juane Chavis, our finance officer, to come please share that information.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Before us, we have our audit contract for the 2021-2022 school year. Our firm that would be performing the audit contract would be Anderson, Smith and White. This is our normal auditor. They have been doing our audit since 2010. The amount for the services would be $27,750 plus any reimbursements for out-of-pocket expenses. This is our normal procedure to get it approved before we start our audit this year. We've started scheduling where we can go ahead and do our compliance in April. The $27,750 is in normal range what they've charged us for previous years. Any questions about our audit contract for 2021-2022?
So if there are no questions at this time, I am asking for approval of the 2021-2022 audit contract.
You heard the request of the You've heard requests of the superintendent for the approval of the 21-22 audit contract. Maybe get a vote on there.
Madam Chair.
I make a motion that we approve the 2021-2022 audit contract.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second that we approve the 2021-22 audit contracts. Are there any questions? If none, all in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Contract has been approved.
Thank you. Our second action item for this evening is our summer testing plan. So at this time, I'll ask Mr. Sean O'Connor, our Director of Testing and Accountability, to speak to that plan, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and
Yes.
everyone in attendance. Tonight, we come to ask for the ability to test during the summer. The state has offered us, once again, an opportunity to provide additional instruction in remediation, and then again, retesting our students on the EOC and EOG assessments through the summer. These tests will not count towards the growth measure for accountability, but they will count towards proficiency for each school. All of these measures have to be complete by July 6th, 2022 for them to count for accountability for the 21-22 school year. There's 3 ways students can participate in the summer learning plan. One is for the repeating elements of a course or subject for the purpose of improving functional skills or to access an enrichment opportunity, which means students may have passed their course but weren't proficient on their initial assessment, whether it be the EOG or EOC. The second is for credit recovery purposes, and the third is repeating courses for credit, which is some of our high school kids repeating to improve their grade point average or their final exam scores. Student participation will be voluntary, and students who do not attend the summer program will not be eligible to retest this summer. We are setting it up to notify those parents and those students at the end of May and the beginning of June. Eligibility, the tests that will be available to these students will be 3rd through 12th grade, EOGs and EOCs, with the exception of reading EOG in 3rd grade, because that is not re-administered during the summer program. And it will take place, all of the different summer testing programs and summer learning programs will take place between June 8th and June 30th. If you remember last year, there was an 8-week extended summer learning opportunity. This year, it's more back to the traditional, what we had back in 1819. So it'll take place during June. The minimum that any of the students in any of the camps, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school, will have is 12 days, 60 hours of learning during the summertime. And then we will test our elementary and middle school EOGs on June 23rd and June 24th, along with the English 2 EOC, because that takes 7 to 10 days for us to get back from the state. And then we'll test our high school EOCs on June 28th and 29th. What we're asking for tonight is simply approval of our plan to be able to test these students after their summer learning programs.
Are there any questions related to the testing plan for the summer? Barbara, do you have a question? No. Any questions? Okay. So at this time, I am asking for approval of our summer testing plan.
You've heard the recommendation by our superintendent for approval of our summer program testing plan. Maybe get a vote on this, please.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the summer testing program.
I second.
It's been moved and properly second that we will accept the summer program testing plan as presented. Are there any questions? If none, all in favor, let me know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. So the summer program, testing program is done.
So good evening. Our third action item for this evening is to revisit our face covering policy. So as you know, every month we are required under Senate Bill 654 to review our mask policy. So if you remember, back in January 29, 2021, the CDC at the time had issued an order that did require face masks to be worn on public transportation. And at the time, that did include public and private school buses and vans. So at the time, when we revisited our policy in February, we actually did indicate still that we would be requiring masks on school transportation based on that order. So that was our policy that we put in place effective February 2022. So recently, February 25th, the CDC did update its previous guidance and is not requiring people to wear masks on buses or vans that are operated by the public or private school systems. That does include any early care and child care programs as well. So that move made everything a little bit more aligned to the updated guidance about the optional masking or not needing to wear masks inside. So based on that, though, they're still saying that local school boards do have the discretion to continue to require masking on school buses or vans, should that be voted on. So I did want to kind of take a look at where we're at, though, as a school district. So this is our dashboard that we update every Friday at 5 o'clock. And so as you're looking at that graph, you can see back in January, which seems like it was forever ago, but not too long ago, the number of positive cases that we had in our district. So when you look at January 24th, At the time, we had 157 positive student cases, 16 staff cases. But as you can see, as time has gone by, our trends have definitely improved. And if you look from January 31st, we were down to 73 student cases. February 7th, we were at 15. February 14th, we had 23. February 21st, we had 7 student cases. And last week, we only had 3 student cases. We also just continue to track our cases per 100,000, and we continue to watch what our test positivity rate is. So that shows from Valentine's Day almost through the end of February, just to show where we started. And then if you see now, as of the other, I think it was yesterday, we were down to 6.32% test positivity with 74 cases reported in the entire county. Right now, using the new metrics for transmission and looking at how we're labeled, we are now identified as a low county for transmission, and they, CDC has changed those guidelines, and it's more based on hospitalizations and severe cases. So at this point, we are identified as a low district, which is very good. So based on the data that we've had, our district data, our county data, tonight I'd like to ask for your consideration of modifying our current policy. And so basically what I did in red is I would show you that our first bullet where we talk about face coverings being optional inside all buildings, we would add on school transportation. So basically the second bullet that was requiring them on school transportation would be removed from our policy. And that's basically to reflect the positive metrics that we've seen in our district. So the new policy, if approved, would read with those 3 bullets, talking about face coverings optional in all Hope County school buildings and on school transportation. We're not requiring them outside and any extracurricular athletic activities. And I believe Sand Hills Community College, when our kids go up on the hill, they're still masking up through spring break, correct? So we would keep that, because if our students go up on the hill, we want them to follow their guidance. So if approved, we would like to put this into effect March 10th. We would like to take tomorrow, like we did last time, to make sure that we're communicating to our families. We plan on starting that tonight with a school messenger. Once again, we'll talk to our principals. We'll make sure that our bus drivers are aware. It will give Mr. Brown time to talk to some of the drivers who do have some concerns. Just to let them know the change that is happening on Thursday. We'll utilize our social media. And basically it does give families, once again, time to talk to their students and their children about what their family expectations are for their children on the bus. So we will continue with our mitigation strategies that we have in place. So we still try to physical distance to the greatest extent possible if we can. We still have voluntary masking. We still have continued with our cleaning and sanitizing protocols, hand washing. We encourage any screening or testing. We will continue to provide masks for students on buses and in the classrooms if they would like one. And for the buses, one of the things that we continue to encourage is to increase the ventilation on the buses. You drop every second or third window. That does actually help with the ventilation on the bus. So questions related to that, or comments or revisions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Just how would, just the young man, gentleman, come up here talking about the communication piece, for the bus drivers? How would Mr. Russell, get that information out? Because bus drivers, some drive in the daytime,
Right.
some drive in the morning.
Right.
So, how would he get that?
He's actually, and I'll let Mr. Brown, if you want to speak this, but he's actually has started talking to some of his drivers, because we knew for some drivers it would be concerning. So he has started having those conversations. All of our drivers come through our transportation center every morning or every afternoon. So we do have that human contact with them to be able to start talking about it. We also have shared with our principals and APs to let them know what our intent was. should it be approved? So there's been conversation about it, and with the concern, what we would say is, once again, we're providing our N95 masks to our drivers, all staff. They can double mask. Now, the only thing is they cannot wear a shield. Bus drivers cannot wear a shield. And then once again, talking about using the windows and increasing that circulation on the bus. Good question.
Madam Superintendent, seating on the bus, has that changed?
No, so we're at a full capacity on our buses. So sometimes it's 2, rarely it could be 3, but we still run a full capacity school bus. We space to the greatest extent, but some of our routes, we do have quite a few students on the buses.
So those open windows, and Monday morning is gonna be 20 degrees.
Right. Weather permitting, I believe is the wording we use, and say when it rains. But that definitely, just like in a classroom, we encourage teachers, open your windows when you can. It's just that idea of getting some fresh air moving into the bus or moving into the classroom. Any other questions? Okay, so if there are no other questions, I am asking for approval of the requested changes to our face covering policy to include optional masking on our school transportation.
You've heard the recommendation by the superintendent to include option on our buses as well as, on our buses for transportation as well as for the school. So maybe get a vote on that.
Madam Chair, I have a motion that we approve the new updated masking policy.
Can we get a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second that we approve our updated policy to include covering with the option inside all Polk County school buildings and on school transportation for all students and staff, pre-K. Any further questions? No question, comment from me, I'll just say thank the Lord that we can do that. I am glad to see this day come. And you won't ever be able to satisfy everybody. If you say yes to some gonna say no, so that's a given. But anyway, I'm glad to see the option. Those that want to continue to wear the mask, continue to wear your mask. Those that don't do it. This is good. COVID has gone down in Hope County. I hope it continues to go down in Hope County and all around the world, really. But I'm glad to see that we are at the stage now that it's optional. It's optional. So all in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye. Opposed is nay. I will have it, and I will update policy has been approved.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our item is administration, and we will turn it over to the superintendent for our administration.
Okay, so thank you, Madam Chair and members. We have 5 information items for this evening. Information item A is a review of our 22-23 school calendars. We're going to ask Ms. Meredith Bounds, our Director of Public Relations, to provide this review.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Dallas, and members of the administration. It's that time of the year again. It seems like just yesterday, the school year started, but here we are talking about the start of the 22-23 school year. So in order to do that, we need to have a calendar to find out when we're coming and when we're going and all things in between. And of course, we have to follow North Carolina General Statute calendar legislation. I just want to review that first. To begin, the start date can be no earlier than the Monday closest to August 26th, and the end date no later than the Friday closest to June the 11th, unless you can get some sort of calendar waiver. And that is nearly impossible. Some of the counties in the mountains can do that have a lot of snow and that kind of thing, can sometimes get a weather-related waiver, but generally speaking, those waivers aren't granted. And so you either can have 185 days or 1,025 instructional hours. And here in Hope County, as in most districts, if not all throughout the state, we meet the instructional hours requirement. You must have at least 9 teacher work days. Actually, only two of those have to be optional, but must have at least 9 in your calendar. You have to have the same or equivalent number of holidays as designated by the state for state employees. And the only holiday that actually, interestingly enough, that has to actually be on the holiday is Veterans Day. So you can put those holidays, if you'll see on the calendars, the green days, I think they are, anywhere on your calendar, but generally speaking, you're gonna try to follow the state holiday schedule. And finally, and want to really pay attention to this last one, because this is made a little bit tricky this year. The calendar must include 215 working days for teachers, so they're contracted at 215 days. And that includes all days, so from the very start to the very end, every single day in between, whether it's a purple day, red day, meaning optional, required, annual leave, holiday, whatever, minus the weekends, they have to work or have opportunities to work 215 days. Okay, so, it's quite a process putting a calendar together, and let me just say, there is no calendar, as we all know, that everyone is gonna like. I'll also put my plug in here that if you ever have the opportunity to advocate for calendar flexibility and change to the legislation, we invite and encourage everyone to do that, because that does make it tricky. The parameters we have to work in is a little bit challenging, but so we do initially look at calendars from the past years, as well as look at what other people in our region are doing and start out with a draft calendar. We then take that draft calendar to executive cabinet, that would be Dr. Dallas and administrative cabinet, your assistant superintendents. And so we look at that and our counting days and lots of discussion, making revisions that we think necessary. Then we take that draft calendar to the full cabinet. So your executive directors, your directors, your coordinators are gonna take a look at it. Again, offer any suggestions, revisions, make those changes if necessary. Then next, we took the calendar to our leadership meeting. That's principals leadership meeting. And share that with the principals, not only the calendars in and of itself, but, reminded them of the legislation and the parameters that we have to follow. You have principals, APs, and again, all of your cabinet there in those meetings. Receive feedback there. Ask those principals and directors to share with their staff. So we took the draft calendars, sent that to principals and department heads along with a Google document. They could share that with their staff, and we asked for feedback. We also specifically reached out to our teachers of the year. Although it was going to all staff anyway, we made a point to reach out for our teachers of the year and made sure, hey, we want you to specifically look at this as teacher representatives in your building and get your feedback. We had over 100 comments on that feedback form. And we're going to review those in a little bit. We had some themes to those comments as well. And then we took the calendar, looked at the comments and feedback, did a final review and revisions with our executive cabinet and brought it here to the board. So if you can see this here, again, one of the things that we looked at is what is everybody else doing? Because of course, based on Christmas this past year, if somebody gets a day out early or goes a day longer, they're gonna say, well, Cumberland is doing this, well, Scotland is doing that, and why is Moore doing this and we're not? So we all want to kind of look and mirror as much as we can, again, within those parameters, what other districts are doing. But you can see we're right in line with all counties. I do want to point out that Cumberland, Bladen, and Anson are the only two that do finish their first semester before Christmas break. And now Bladen County, I think they're probably gonna have to go back and work on their calendar a little bit more because they started a week earlier than everybody else, and I think that, I don't know that that's gonna work for DPI to allow them to do that, so they might have to make some adjustments. But Anson, they have an unbalanced semester schedule, so their fall semester is much shorter than their spring. That's how they're able to finish up early. And in Cumberland, they have added minutes onto their school day so that they're able to finish the first semester before Christmas. But you can see everything else with all the other counties pretty much lines up with what we're doing here, or what we're proposing to do here. So, as I mentioned, we had a Google form that we sent out to everybody, and again, had over 100 comments and feedback items. But they kind of had themes, or we had a lot of repeats, and wanted to share a few of those that we had the most of here tonight. One of the questions and concerns that a lot of people had, this was overarching on our feedback form, was there were too many work days at the beginning and the end of the calendar, the school calendar. And if you remember how I mentioned there has to be 215 days in the school year, and because school can't start until the 29th for students, in order to get that 215 in, you have to fill them with something. I mean, you can make them student days if you choose, but we were already over instructional hours, so you don't necessarily need to do that. So you're gonna make those work days. Now, you do have some flexibility whether they're optional or required, but there's really not any way to get around the 215 days. So, but one of the things that we had done to accommodate originally on one of the drafts, we had August 11th and 12th were optional work days. And so to take off some at the beginning and move those to the end, we took those off as optional work days and moved those to the end of the calendar. So you have 2 weeks at the beginning of the calendar of work days and 1 week at the end to balance it out a little bit. But that's really all that you're able to do in order to get your 215 days in. One of the other things that we got feedback a lot from, I'm assuming they're beginning teachers, were concerned that because we have so many work days, and particularly optional ones, that if they wanted to take it off, they don't have the time to take it off because they're new. And unfortunately, if you're a beginning teacher, you know, you have to, for lack of a better term, pay your dues and accrue your time in order to take those days off. So there's really not anything we can do about that one as well. Also had a question about why no inclement weather days. I think in the past, a lot of districts, including ours, had put specific days on the calendar that were opportunities for makeup for inclement weather. Well, one of the great things that has come out of, you know, I guess this day and time that we're living in, but specifically COVID, is we do remote days really well now. And so if it's a snow day or a heaven forbid, a hurricane or anything else like that, and we know that we're gonna close, we can, you know, send the Chromebooks and the other devices home to students and make it a remote learning day. So you don't have to have inclement weather necessarily built into your calendar. And so really any of your optional or required work days should be viewed as opportunities for makeup days, as opposed to maybe adding time onto a day or, you know, going on a Saturday, as many have done in the past. But we didn't put specific ones in the calendar because the state is saying, again, this year, you have 5 days that you can deem as remote learning days. So, you know, should the power go out all in Hope County and well, that wouldn't help us because I guess you don't have Wi-Fi then. But if we were to have, you know, another round of snow like we did this year, or, you know, heaven forbid any other reason that we needed to be out, we could make up to 5 of those remote learning days. And one of the questions that we had from several folks was, because so many of our family have military connections, can we have off President's Day? Well, President's Day is not a state holiday, but we do know, you know, that is one day that affects a lot of our families here. So originally we had February 17th, which was a Friday, as a required work day. We changed that a half day for students, and now Monday, February 20th, which is President's Day, is now going to be an optional work day. So, you know, by that time, our beginning teachers hopefully have accrued a little bit of time. If they want to take it off, they can, you know, and have that as a long weekend and an opportunity for our staff and families, particularly that are military related, could have that day off since it's a federal holiday. And then finally, the one question, although we're not, surprising, we did not get this one as much as we have in the past. I think folks are sort of resigned to, there's not a whole lot, way around it, again, without that flexibility, is why can't we end the first semester before Christmas and get out before Memorial Day? Again, the only way that you really can do that and meet the instructional legislation or the calendar legislation is if you add time onto the day, or you have an unbalanced calendar, meaning your first semester is going to be shorter than your second semester. That might not matter if you're an elementary or middle school student, because they are on a 9-week schedule, but if you're a high school student and maybe have 70 days in the fall to teach U.S. history or to learn U.S. history, and you have 100 days in the spring, that, creates an issue as well. But both options come with disadvantages. You think about extending the school day, that causes issues with transportation, or if you're going to another district for a sports competition, anything like that. And I know you have just as many teachers say, minutes onto a day don't really make up for full days. They'd much rather have a full day than, 5 or 10 minutes on each day. So, and really the primary feedback we heard from Sandhook, other than they would love for their calendar to mirror Sand Hills Community College calendar, is that they would like to have their Christmas break aligned to the traditional calendar, which it wasn't this year. It was a little day or two off, and we were able to do that. Ms. Pepper was very flexible. We appreciate her and her staff's flexibility, so we lined their Christmas breaks up this year. So, drum roll please. After all of that and all that explanation, this is our traditional, proposed traditional calendar for the 22-23 school year. You'll again see all of the information that we shared before is reflected in the calendar. The key is at the bottom. We do have when grading periods are going to end, holidays, and all that kind of great stuff. And then next slide is our Sandhook draft calendar. Again, similar where we're able to. Christmas break aligns, our spring breaks are different just because, as you know, Sandhook has an earlier spring break to reflect Sand Hills Community College. They get out earlier and are able to start a little bit earlier. But we would like to present these for your, not approval tonight, but for your review. And we'd like to bring these back at the April meeting for a vote and approval if we can. So does anybody have any questions or recommendations? Yes.
So Meredith, what if we have a blackout, like everything is off and, the kids have to go home?
So what happens? Well, we're in the dark. And so, but if we could not make it a remote learning day, fortunately, we have more instructional hours in our calendar than the legislation requires. So we have a little bit of wiggle room. So if we had a circumstance, where we just couldn't make it up, didn't necessarily need to make it up, the board has that flexibility to say, hey, we've got, several days that we don't, I hate to say we don't need, we need all the days we can get, but if there was just not an opportunity to make that up, there is that flexibility.
Since it's not in the proposed calendar or whatever, would we have to approve that?
Generally speaking, well, you wouldn't necessarily, but most of the time we'd come and just say, we'd like this, but the superintendent can make that.
Okay. So if we can go remote, that would probably be our first course of action. But if for some reason we couldn't, then we could deem that it would be a snow day or a day, right? And so because we have so many banked, if we do that, we most likely would not have to come back and make it up because we've got some days in reserve that we can use if we have to.
We're not gonna have any more snow. I think we all got our fill of snow this year, right?
Ms. Pickett says.
No, can't say that now. You
Oh,
cannot say
man.
that. This is the largest snow you've ever had in
South Carolina was in the month of March.
You're exactly right. I was in third grade.
That's right.
I remember that.
But like to your point, Rosa, like we've always done is we try to kind of let you know, this is what we're thinking as we're out on the roads and kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at doing as far as a remote day or not.
Any other questions? If not, thank you very much.
Well, no question, but I just comment, you've just done an outstanding job, and I think that you have gotten the question that I got, and I didn't even have to ask this time because you answered it.
I'm a non-reader.
About president.
There you go. Yes, that was a
what I
record.
heard so many questions that day. Why aren't we preserving that? So you took care of that, so.
Well, that was,
You've done
again,
an
a
outstanding job.
recommendation and suggestion. And Dr. Thomas mentioned the half day on Friday and moving that work day. So, yeah, it's a group effort. When we've got a great group.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Adams.
Okay, so information item B is review of our schedules for our summer enrichment camps and programs. Let me ask Dr. Dawn Ramsor, our Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Education, to share this summer schedule.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to just take a few minutes to look over the summer school and community camp programs that we will be having this summer. Like Mr. O'Connor mentioned earlier, a lot of our programs are much shorter than they were last year. And so I'll point that out as I go through them. The first two entries that you see in terms of summer program refer to our summer eating sites. And right now they are East Hope Middle School and Hope County High School. Additionally, you'll see that there are several elementary programs that are listed. We will have a summer reading camp, which is set forth by the Read to Achieve legislation. That's something that we have to do annually. That'll be for grades 1 through 3 for our students who need some additional support with reading. And it's part of our literacy intervention plan. Also note that we have our elementary STEM camp. That will be for our 4th and 5th grade students. That's an enrichment program. And those will be both held at Sandy Grove Elementary School. And then finally, there's one more camp for elementary, which will be 4th grade math camp. And that's for our students who we want to make sure if they're just not quite where we want them to be in math, so they have a successful 5th grade year, that we are preparing them to make sure they have all the precursors they need to be successful for that next year. That also will be held at Sandy Grove Elementary School. So we will have a full school or full school of children with all of those 3 programs running during that time. And that's a 13-day program. Again, so just so that you can have some reference to, remember last year it was 6 weeks, this year we're looking at 13 days, but it will be a very targeted 13 days during instruction, allow our teachers and our students to get their summer break back. For middle school, and we will have, each middle school will have a site where they are working on specific subjects, as well as offering some additional enrichment activities. So those programs will be at East Hope, Sandy Grove, and West Hope Middle Schools, and serving roughly about 275 students. Their dates are running from the 13th of June until June 30th. And again, like Mr. O'Connor says, we're able to get all of these camps through to have finished by June 30, and so that our teachers and again students have July free. These camps, the middle school camps, will run for approximately 12 days. They will be 4 days a week. And then there's the High School Career Accelerator Summer Program. Again, it's a 12-day program running Monday through Thursday. And that is going to be evidence-based learning and workforce aligned programs. And again, addressing that addressing the academic loss of instructional time and responding to not just academics, but the social, emotional, and mental health needs of our students in high school. Next, you'll see the high school summer school. And again, that's going to be that in-person instruction for students in grades 9-12.
Again, running along the same time period, 12 days, Monday through Thursday for those 3-week period. And again, that's going to allow our students to get some credit recovery and attendance recovery due to some of that learning loss, and also addressing the lingering negative impacts of COVID. Okay, and then we have JROTC Cadet Leadership Challenge, and that actually is not local. That's in Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and it is a 7-day program where the cadets will learn some leadership skills. They will be doing obstacle courses and some zip lining, some team building activities, things of that nature. It sounds like a lot of fun.
No, you cannot go.
Okay, I was thinking that. Something to chaperone. And then there's the Rising Stars Camp. That is for our rising kindergarten students. It will be held at Scurlock and Upchurch this year. We will have 3 classrooms in both Scurlock and Upchurch, so for a total of 6 classrooms. It is a 13-day program, and it is specifically in the month of July. Getting closer to school opening, preparing those students to be ready for and transitioning into kindergarten. Next, we have our athletic camp. That's going to be sponsored by Hope County High School. It is for grades 3 through 6, and it is a 3-day camp. Teaching students about specific sports skills development, how to play nicely with others, citizenship, sportsmanship, and things of that nature. Our band camp at the high school is a 10-day program. Again, that's our Mighty Marching Bucks, and they will do that in preparation for the upcoming season. And then finally, with our community, we have our 4-H Summer Fun program. It is Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, running from the end of June to the beginning of August. And they're still working on that schedule and have lots of things planned and themed weeks to go along with that. So quite a few opportunities for our students and our community, ranging from areas where students might need some additional support to additional enrichment type activities. Any questions?
Questions about that?
I have a question. What does it mean when you say like open site? Because the van is already there. What does that mean?
So that's specifically talking about in
The feeding.
the feeding.
So the van? Okay.
So they'll be able to provide served lunch here, so it'll be an open site, so community.
Anybody?
Yeah, anybody during that time period.
Because you already have.
Any student or
child.
anybody?
Any student. I think
Okay.
they have to be up to a certain age.
Okay.
But,
Even if they're not in the program.
right,
they
even if
can
they're not in the program. So
Okay.
in the past year, we've done them like at Scurlock and
Right.
East Hoke, and basically the community can come in. So that's what we say, it's an open site, so they can come in.
We're feeding at all of these? Okay.
Yes,
It's breakfast and lunch.
we are feeding our babies.
Oh, that's great. I heard the summer food is better than the.
Jealous.
I got a question. The summer school programs are not in all our schools? Would they, tell me why would it?
They're open to all students, but some of them we have certain sites, like our elementary, instead of using 8 sites and having
Which
to
is
have 8 child
consolidated.
nutrition and 8, like, we basically bring them together, just like we've done in the past. We've used Sandy Grove to basically serve our RTA camps. So we don't use each site because there's several reasons why we don't do that, but for logistics of personnel, right? So it's easier to host it in one site. And then that allows us to start cleaning. We'll start our cleaning summer schedule and start getting some of our buildings cleaned while there's nobody there, while the other ones are being occupied. But all students have access, all students have access.
And we'll serve the same number of students, we'll just consolidate for the elementary.
Okay, so information item C is an update on CTE. Dr. Dana Chavis has some exciting news to recognize CTE, but she's going to share those updates.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's always nice to have a celebration. And for Hope County, this is our second year to be in the top 5 of credentials for the state. But this particular year, and we're always talking about the past year, we were number 2 in the state, which really says a lot about our staff that work in CTE. This particular, last year we had over 1,500 students that participated in CTE, and they earned over 3,000 credentials. So when they, figure that percentage out, that's 188%. So, our students and our staff are really on board about earning credentials and going into the workforce and being able to use those credentials. So we're really proud of that. Next, some of the information that's coming to us. I hope everyone has seen our videos. The high school video is on our website. The middle school video will be there shortly. And, it took a lot of time to do that. And you'll see that we're going to continue to update that so that we can have students without masks on, and do some testimonies with our seniors to talk about, their experience in CTE and where it's taking them and where they're going. Just today I was speaking to a student, and it's because of CTE that she's not going into nursing. So, if we can save them a little money on the way, we hope to do that. But some of the things that are coming, we have, before the new variant came, we did have some things in place for the internships. Now that is only offered to our juniors and seniors, but then we had to stop. And because employers were not comfortable of having the students come in, parents weren't comfortable of having their students go out. So, but we do have things in place. So next year when we start again, we'll be able to start that. We are going to offer next school year automotive level 3. Those students that complete that particular class will be able to earn their credential as an ASC certification. So that puts them ahead of the game in order to, maybe if they wanted to go to Sand Hills and continue, they could do that, or they can go directly into the workforce and already earn that credential. Most of our credentials that we earn, that our students have opportunity to earn, our staff already has those credentials, and it's not easy finding an automotive certified staff to come work for us. So if you ever get a chance to meet Mr. Holmes, he's phenomenal. So thank him for what he's doing for our program. Next, we have a pre-apprenticeship that we have on board with CASI Aviation Unmanned. They want to work with our students. As you know, we are nationally recognized for our drone program, and we are producing the most drone students for the state of North Carolina. I wouldn't be surprised to even be able to say that probably for the United States. But I knew officially for North Carolina. And Mr. Mario, of course, is leading that through NCDPI as a mentor to other teachers across the state, because, they want to get where we're at. We have a really, really good program. So we're working with that. And then next, we had to close the nursing fundamentals class because of COVID, but it's coming back. But this time it's coming back as a Sand Hills Community College class. So it will continue to be 10 students as the requirement, because that is the state law. You can't have more than 10 students in that class. But from there, they get the dual credit. They get a high school credit and they get a college credit for that particular class. We are bringing back EMT, excuse me. And EMT, we just could not fill the position because of the requirements that you have to have in that particular field. It's just a lot of work, because not only do you have to abide by NCDPI's standards, but you also have the EMT standards that you have to follow too. So that class is coming back, but it will be a Sand Hills Community College class. And that enrollment is 10 to 15 students. But the students are excited. They want these classes, it's almost like we have a whole health science school in itself. But that's what we have coming. So we're excited about that. Any questions?
Dr. J.
That CDL come through you all?
Yes.
Or would it just be through Sand Hill?
So I didn't put that on there because there's
It's
just a
coming this
lot
fall.
of things that have not completely been worked out.
It's-
But yes, so CDL class is coming,
It's coming.
through Sand Hills Community College. And so some of our students will be able to get a head start and take some of those classes and transition over to that facility.
We need them.
I think you may have just answered my question. When you say that, they're gonna be St. Louis Community College classes, and it's say the one class you mentioned was 15 students, is that 15 Hope County High School students, or is that a combination of us and them?
So it's Hope County High School students. Now, we do allow San Hope early college students to come to our campus. So it could be, a couple of students in there. But, based on enrollment, most of our students are Hope High students. We may have just a couple, like less than 10, that come from the early college over and take our classes for those San
I'm
Hills
not
classes.
concerned about the early college, I'm concerned about the typical Sand Hills Community College student.
No,
Okay, so it's none of that.
no, ma'am.
So we get all the slots.
Yes, ma'am.
Sand Hill will be offering some curriculum courses this fall.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you're gonna see the difference here.
Mhm.
So we'll be meeting on that next week.
Okay.
That's excellent.
They offer, curriculum classes here now?
No, not really. Not the kind we're talking about, not the one that's up at the main college.
Oh.
They're bringing some of those here for the first time.
Okay.
Yes, they,
Okay. Anything else?
Good job.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you, Dr. Chu. Okay, and information item D is the update on COVID-19. We're gonna ask Dr. Peggy Owens, our Executive Director for Student Support Services, to please provide this update.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Madam Superintendent, and members of the board. We're going to just go through these slides. This is the data for Hope County, and Dr. Dallas has provided you somewhat of an update already, so I'm not going to just extend that, but just to say, you can see that the numbers are decreasing for Hope County. And so we're excited about that. One of the things to point out in terms of those persons vaccinated at least with 1 dose or 2 doses is that we're seeing now an increase in the immunity in our county. And so that is a good thing. I was talking with Ms. Edwards on yesterday. And so one of the things that we want to continue to do as we emerge from this pandemic is to utilize those tools that we have. And so one of the key tools, vaccination, to encourage people to get vaccinated. And then also in terms of those individuals, you've had 2 series, we want you to encourage them to get boosted and then to utilize testing. So we want to continue to promote that in our county so that we can see an increase in immunity and a reduction in the number of infections. Next slide, please. Our HCS dashboard, that's locally, you've taken a look at that already, as Dr. Dallas presented, and we're just really excited. As she shared last week, 3 students and 2 staff. So our numbers are decreasing and we're continuing to utilize our mitigating measures within our schools and also throughout our facilities as well as on our buses. Next slide, please. And so this is for your information. If you get an opportunity, if you just like to cruise the NCDHS website, you can go through each one of those tabs, if you will, and just kind of look at those areas so you can see what's happening not only in our county, but also in our state. One thing I will say in terms of the metrics now, more emphasis is being put on hospitalization and also vaccination, looking at the rate of hospitalization, number of people being hospitalized. So we are going to just continue the course and we'll see what the end will bring as we continue to emerge. And hopefully, one of the researchers from Johns Hopkins indicated that hopefully maybe within the next, by summer, we can say that we're moving into an endemic rather than being in the current pandemic. Now, vaccinations, as I said earlier, we are still continuing with our vaccination clinic. Next slide, please, Ms. Bell. We reported to you last time that we were here, and we kept that data when we looked at our vaccination clinics in January. And so on the second half of that, you will see on to my right with the blue is the second part of the clinic. And so during the first stage, we vaccinated a total of 149 individuals, and that included employees as well as students and some members of the community. And then in terms on the second half was 82, which included a total of 231 that we were able to add to our numbers in terms of individuals being vaccinated. So we will be continuing with our clinics. We're in the process now of coordinating, and hopefully week after next, we'll be going back to our secondary schools to set up clinics, and that way the individuals, the parents, people in our community, they can actually come to the schools in order to get vaccinated as well if parents choose to get their children vaccinated as well. Are there any questions? Okay. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Owens. And information item E is our monthly financial report. So if you have any questions, we can direct those to our finance officer, Ms. Lene Chavis. Okay, if there are no questions, that does conclude our informational items for this evening.
Okay, you're in the superintendent. We will go with our next item then, which is closed session. May I get a motion?
I move that we go into closed session under North Carolina General Statutes 143.318 -318.11 to prevent the disclosure of confidential personality matters, to consider matters related to initial employment of individual employees, and to consult with our board to preserve the attorney-client's privilege.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we go into closed session for the following statements you read. Are there any questions? All in favor, let me know by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. So we go into closed session. We can take about 5 minutes.